Unity. I think if we all celebrate each other's successes, if we all embrace each other's shortcomings, and if we all take a step back and just listen to one another, because there's so much out there to be discovered and we are stronger together.
You're listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author Sarah Box. We focus on the mantra, no labels, no limits, no excuses. And now without further ado, please welcome your commanding coach with plenty of chutzpah and heart, Sarah Box.
Hey there, No Labels, No Limits podcast listeners. Welcome back for another great interview. I am Sarah Box, your host of the No Labels, No Limits podcast, where we're on a mission to help individuals, teams, and nonprofit organizations think outside the box, move beyond limiting beliefs, and create profound impact in their own lives and the lives of others. And as you know this, we share accomplished and inspiring guests with you who can share how they challenged their own limiting labels and beliefs and helped others do the same so that they could accomplish big personal, professional goals and many other types of learning objectives, if you will. So you may remember today's guest, Douglas Haddad. He is an experienced educator, author, and filmmaker who's passionate about empowering young minds. He has 24 years of teaching and has been recognized as Teacher of the Year. He brings a wealth of expertise to our conversations, and along that line, he is a three-time podcast guest on this show, including his appearances on episodes like Embracing the Parenting Revolution and Raising a Thriving Family. Doug offers a unique experience shaped by his roles as a teacher, best-selling author, and filmmaker. He's authored popular books such as The Ultimate Guide to Raising Teens and Tweens and Mya McLure, The Brave Science Girl, The Toad Cave. His storytelling extends to film, where he wrote, directed, and produced the award-winning short film Butterfield, tackling themes like bullying and resilience. He is also the driving force between his school's film club, encouraging creativity and collaboration among the students. And he recently organized a film festival showcasing student work across various genres. And we're going to talk about that today because that is a different spin on the school presentation approach that many of us grew up with. So we're going to talk about his innovative approaches to keeping education engaging, the transformative power of filmmaking and storytelling, and the significance of local film awards in fostering creativity and community. So with that, let's officially welcome Mr. Douglas Haddad to the podcast. Hey, Doug.
Boy, that introduction, the trifecta, I can't believe it. My third time on the show. I'm so honored and thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be special.
Well, I'm glad you came. Well, I'm glad you came back, but honestly, keeping up with you is not that easy. We probably could have been doing these every 2 months for an update on like, hey, what's new in the communications and film and teaching. And I know for me, I am interested in keeping up with you because I loved school. I had some good teachers early on, and especially my elementary, who encouraged me. I didn't end up doing anything that they encouraged me toward, but mostly they encouraged me to keep being curious, so whatever I wanted to do, well, let's learn about that. So I'm fond of teachers. I bow down to the patience and focus that it takes to teach. I know I don't have it. So I'm thrilled to have you back.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we're in the midst of a project right now, too, at our school. And it's funny you talk about curiosity because I bring them through the steps of what they call the guided inquiry process. And it's really, as you have your business, it's actually a business model of showing, you immerse yourself in something, get curious about it. And then you kind of get open to the conversation. Actually, it's open, then it's immersed, then it's explore the concept. And really, you're going through the whole realm of then identifying what the problem is and then creating, and you have a product and then you share it and then you evaluate it. So the kids are learning at this level really how to collaborate and how to go through and try to solve problems and figure out how to do research. So I say in real life, you're going to be doing this stuff. So it's a lot of fun, but I love to see them grow and I love to see them develop. So
when you do that with the kids, do they have like these, they come up, they've got a solution, they work on it, all of a sudden they go, we're close, but not quite. We've got a different idea now. Does that ever happen?
Well, in today's day and age, to be honest with you, their solution is google.com, AI technology, answer fast, here, there, so they think, and rightfully so, a lot of adults think too, if you have this step, then leads to step 2, step 3, very linear, step 4, product, done, right? But I say it's messy. It's a cyclical process. You sometimes go back and even with what we're doing for a project, we're doing traveling around the changing earth. And what the students are doing is they're coming up with their own sort of tour guide package where they're bringing everybody on a world tour, and they have to cover different realms of like weathering and erosion, tectonic plate movement, earthquakes, volcanoes, discuss the rock cycle intertwined in there. So a lot of that is like skimming and scanning for information. And then once they find it, then they do close reading, and then they start putting in their information. Then they put in their information, then they have to like paraphrase it and then think about original thinking. Like, I wonder what would happen if. And then everybody's looking at everybody's information and coming up with these things called synthesis cards. And from there, that's where the real deep learning takes place. So kids can divide and conquer for a while getting information as a collaborative effect. But then when they look at everybody's work holistically, then it really brings it to the next level. And I tell the kids all the time, I said, you're only as strong as the team is. Every individual is only as strong as a team, but the team is only as strong as the individuals. So it goes both ways.
It does. And the individuals have to show up as leaders, not like just hand me the job, but to do that independent thinking, critical thinking, and show up and then give their all. But that whole piece of the synthesis, I don't think we always allow ourselves the time to ask people, like, here's my, whatever it is, right? And then when having someone give you a synthesis and reflect back on you, I don't think we do it often. And often that is where the nuggets are.
Yes, that is where the nuggets are. And there's two things. Sometimes it's hard pill to swallow constructive criticism. So some people are less willing to give over their information because out of fear of rejection, one of the biggest fears out there. And just not wanting to really spend the time to say, hey, maybe the team is the dream, as they say, it can work better in a team. And having that small focus group of people that you trust giving over your work, those are other factors. And I see that kids need, that's a learned skill.
It is a learned skill. And it's a learned skill how to be a trusting partner in that role, right? Not to slash and burn somebody's idea, but to pull out, here, really, I'd keep this piece, but we might want to consider X, or I wonder what would happen if.
Yes, absolutely. And, I run a film club at my school, and I notice even within the film groups, you have a lot of chiefs out there, that have a lot of bosses that have these great ideas, but they're tunnel vision ideas. Like, you have to listen to me, but I'm not open and receptive to you. And if you got a bunch of them driving in the fast lane, you're all going straight to nowhere. And that's what a skill, again, I try to teach these kids. And they learn that early on. Like, we go through the whole realm of filmmaking, which we can talk about. And kids learn, later than sooner than later. That,
Let's talk about the arc of filmmaking, because then I do want you to then bring that down to how you use that and storytelling in your teaching to really make things come alive. And you started to talk a little bit about that around the world work, but what is the arc of filmmaking that they need to learn?
It's so funny because just like I presented to you before, that guided inquiry model, really whatever you look at, if you look at it from an engineering point of view, you got the engineering design process, you identify the problem, you take observations, you make a hypothesis, you test out your hypothesis, you retest it. You go back, you draw conclusions, you go back to the drawing board if it doesn't work, change a variable. Well, in the realm of filmmaking, you have the developmental process. So you start with an idea, brainstorming. You start thinking about all the basic things like, do you have a plot point? Do you have points? Do you have a genre you want to focus on? That's what I had the students do early on. Do you understand it's a 3-act structure? There's a beginning, middle, and end. So there are plot points in there. And then from there, you get into sort of the pre-production, you get into the real nitty-gritty, the hard work of writing scripts. And this is where kids, I was so proud of them too. The students, I actually showed them a sample of a movie that I did a couple years ago called Butterfield. And they were looking at sort of where things are pointed out, like at certain pages. A lot of times you see certain turning points. the point of no return. You're at a midway point. So there, and again, there's so many points into filmmaking, but that's really the pre-production process, development. That's where a lot of the work is done. And then you get into production, which is the shortest part, which is like, okay, we're going to film for X number of days or, weeks. And then you have post-production. And what's funny is kids love to just like blow through development. I got an idea. I get some characters, get some costumes, and now let's film forever. All right, take our time. And then what we'll do is we'll get into editing. We'll just do it in a day or two. Done. So we spent from November, all right, of the school year all the way up until now, near the end of the school year, going through the whole process. And they're seeing that in editing. And I said, okay, well, you're done in a day or two. Well, guess what? We're going to actually look at these as a film club and we're going to analyze. And they learned that a lot of points in there. Oh, that cut was slightly off. Oh, the sound is inconsistent. Or audio is just way too low. And then like, oh, I got to do it again. I said, all right, bring it back. We went through again. I got to do it again? Like they're so surprised. Like I said, if you knew how many times it took for me to edit the film and how professional filmmakers have to go through and edit scripts and go through rehearsals, I go, you would be blown away. So they're learning patience, resilience, grit as well.
Yeah. Such good lessons though, because we always think it looks simple. It must be simple. And isn't the big deal the filming part? Because that's what gets glorified, right?
Yes.
You see all this, I'm out on filming and this and that. There's a lot up front that's invisible.
Oh yeah. I mean, even they say one page, of writing is 1 minute on film, but that one page of writing it correctly can take you days, weeks, sometimes months, letting the ideas marinate. And, it's funny because some kids go, I don't really know. I got a writer's block. And I've been a writer of books. I've been a writer of numerous screenplays and, pilot TV sitcoms and all that. And I believe there's no such thing as writer's block. It's just unwillingness to be diligent and put the pencil down or put your, fingers on the keyboard for the keystrokes and put in the time and put in the work. You just have to do it. And as you do it more, it becomes a muscle. And then things start to really, and then they say the first draft is never good, but you have to get the first draft down to get to the gold. It's like the first dig is always hard to get. Okay. And then
break the soil.
But a lot of people, and I've seen in my film club, some people just want to quit. And it's like the guy with the axe. I've said this before. You're in the cave. You're trying to get out and you've been going, but you're like inches away from seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but you don't see that there is going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to keep going. So they learn a lot. Perseverance is another one.
That's great. Well, and then if they do persevere and stick it out, then they have something tangible as evidence of it. And, a lot of our life lessons, when we have something tangible, but it's only noticeable to us, perhaps.
Yes.
There's been a change, but it's not necessarily something you can look at and reflect on, or even years later look back on and say, yeah, I remember that was really hard. And now it's kind of second nature because you're teaching them a thought process that replicates whether they ever do film or not, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really inquiry thinking, how to think critically and how to utilize all the skills. In our school district, we have the vision of the graduate, and there's a certain number of things, of skills we want them to take away. So critical thinker, collaborator, being a global citizen, being a good communicator. These are all things that, I want to impart on the children, as a film club facilitator, as a teacher. I always tell them, I said, and in the project, by the way, Sarah, if I can go back to that project I'm doing at the end of the year, they are not going to be standing up in front of the classroom presenting their traveling through the world thing. I said, no, it's beyond just communicating knowledge. And I said, you're not even going to be communicating knowledge clearly. You're going to be communicating knowledge clearly and persuasively, because in real life, you want to sell yourself. You want to be able to say, hey, come join my tour group. We can show you the best places in the world because they're entertaining, because there's a lot of science behind it, and because you're going to have a grand time, going, I'm just saying, in like the Great Rift Valley and going chimp hunting. But that's what I'm trying to tell the kids. You're trying to stack yourself, and you have to learn, like you said, you just go through that process, and then you build on, and you keep going, you build on, you scaffold, and then it becomes second nature. Exactly right.
Yeah. And I remember a quote from Steven Spielberg. Someone asked him about how he got to be so successful. And he goes, just figure out your first edition. You're going to throw it away, but you have to write it
Yes.
because you won't get to the second. And
So right.
that has really helped me to let go of things, whether it's writing or something else. It's like, okay, that was a good first pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's a first pass. You have to marinate for a while.
And it's a skill too. And you have to understand it's the price of admission to success. That's all. It is. You cannot bypass that. There aren't any shortcuts. And that's what I would say to all listeners out there right now. If you're a kid or you're an adult listening, I'll be honest with you. In your 20s, a lot of times you think, all right, how can I sidestep this? How can I, get rich quick? How can I get that big house or get whatever? And you get influenced. You hear about people doing multi-level marketing, or nowadays it's like, hey, you want to make your money here? There's digital real estate. There's cryptocurrency. There's this and that. And like, there's no such thing as a quick fix. No such thing. That's long lasting and that's fulfilling. Right. So that's important.
Before we get off of films, because I want to dig into your writing, your books, but before we switch that, you recently had film awards.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit different. So tell us what was that all about?
What an experience they had. It was the first annual Simsbury Film Festival. And packed house, we had the community involved, and it was great because we got to showcase films, both that were made at my school at the 7th, 8th grade level. And then also I partnered with a guy who shoots films similarly to what I do, but at the elementary school level. So we had everywhere from 3rd grade. So it was like 3rd and 4th grade films, 5th and 6th grade films, and a bunch of 7th, 8th grade films. There was 8 of them. And to see the kids watching themselves on the big screen and see the audience and the applause and the feedback given from the judging panel, it was great. And we kind of simulated an Oscar-like environment. And to call them up.
The red carpet and everything?
We had the red carpet, yeah. And it's so great. And literally getting up there. The nominees for Best Film include. And so getting the presents, and they just were, and then the speeches, they come up and they say, I want to thank my mother, my father, my cat, my pet hamster. It was just really nice. And to have that experience for them, to see that what they did was very special, not just for them that they'll never forget, but for the community at large, is really something awesome. I'm hoping that this becomes a regular tradition here in our community, because it just teaches the kids that, we have to celebrate our successes and embrace everybody. And that's really what my club's been about. I've seen kids from all different backgrounds and even 7th and 8th graders connecting in. And just some are extroverted. They love to be in front of the camera, and others want to be behind the scenes and look at it that way. But they blend together. And I love to see that. That's the dream team.
Well, when you're working on a project, you become less aware of like 7th and 8th grades. There's a delineation between 7th and 8th grade. I remember the 8th graders, they were so grown up until I was an 8th grader, and I think those 7th graders, what do they know? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a year's different, if that was depending on when your birthday is. So, But when you're working on something together, that stuff starts to kind of fade away. It's how do people show up? Yes,
absolutely. And the cream of the crop rises to the top. And as I say, otherwise you might take a flop. and you could see it. You could see it in who comes out and emerges as leaders of the group, true leaders. It's the ones who show up to every film club meeting, and they don't make excuses. It's the ones who really take pride in their work. And I oftentimes see at that age, the ones who are directors, they also become editors because they want to own kind of their own work. And you don't see that oftentimes in filmmaking. You see directors working with the editors in post, but you don't see them take on that role. But kids, you start to see the ones who really want to own it. But it's special. And I love filmmaking because it's really a big sort of eye-opening experience to really what's going on in people's minds, what is possible, storytelling. It's just the most beautiful form of expression, I believe, out there.
So let's move on to storytelling. Let's talk about your kids' book, Mya, right?
Mya McLure, The Brave Science.
Mya McLure. And this, I'm guessing, is one in a series because you had the colon. So this is the name of this adventure. Is that right?
Well, it's funny. I'm trying to set it up that way. I just have this.
I got the image of it. So.
Yeah, it's all great. All right. Tell my publisher too, because
oh, sure. I will. I can't wait for the next one to come out. When will that? All right.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. You hear that, everybody? Amazon.com reviews,
I'll do it. When's the next one?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, this has been a dream of mine. I'll be honest with you, Sarah. My daughter, she's 5 years old now. And the book I've written is in the age range. It's a picture book. It's for ages 4 to 8. And it deals with the theme of girl empowerment and that we all have a voice and girls have a voice and they need to use it and use it to become change makers for tomorrow and to really brighten our world because, we want to always look at the positive. And that's really what I believe. I believe if we focus on the positive and focus on that, we attract more of that. But we can't be negligent to say that there isn't, other forces out there that are always counteracting that. So I always want to empower people, and I always wanted to empower my students as well. And I saw a number of girls that I taught, for some reason, a little more shy when it comes to science. And maybe the boys more hands-on, more domineering, and the girls are retracting a little bit. And my goal is always, I like to take sort of the shyest kid or the one who didn't have a lot of words to say to make them very much a little more outspoken, or at least use their voice. So those two reasons, my daughter wanting a book in print, and having it by the time she's 4 to 8, which it came out when she was 4 years old, and it's been a couple years in the making. And I don't know, getting a book deal without an agent was a miracle. And it took a lot of, there's my example, blood, sweat, and tears, perseverance and grit, rejection, countless edits to the story, rewrites, give it to my focus group, try to make it better, talk about marketing, come up with a real strong marketing plan. It takes a lot of work out there. And that was my big whole initiative. And I think when you focus on whatever you want to do in life, I think if you focus on who are you helping and who are you serving, and that's the lane I always want to be in for anything I do. If it's a film I'm producing, if it's a book I've written, if it's a class I'm teaching, if it's a talk I'm giving, focus on the center aspect of your audience, your clients. And you can't go wrong. That's the heart-centered we have to go from. And that's how you win in the long run. You'll make a lot of stumbles and bumbles here and there, but the process was very interesting. And I could talk more about that if you'd like to hear.
Well, did you illustrate yourself?
No, so that's part of the process. I did the digital illustration of it as a template to give to the actual illustrator, who then took off and brought it to a whole new level. Yeah, she was great. She's actually one of the illustrators for Highlights magazine for kids. She was really, really, really ingenious in how she created that character and just made it really unique. And all of just the way she told the story along the way. I mean, a lot of times too, the picture without the words could tell the story. And if you can cover up the words, then and you could tell like from the picture, it's a really good story. And it's like movies. If you turn the sound off and you can see what's going on, you can kind of figure it out from the scenes. Oh, it was
subtitles. Just watching the scene.
Yeah. Yes.
I remember that whole covering up. I want to say that was a lesson in English where it's like if you can read the first 2 sentences and cover up the rest, you should know what the paragraph's about, right? It should set the tone. That was hard. It's like, I can't keep just jabbering off.
Yeah, exactly.
It's concise that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, even with my daughter, like a lot of times, a lot of kids these days, they're exposed to technology really early. Well, I don't even, if there's a song out there, like she loves Frozen and she loves all the songs in there. She loves, Let It Go or Into the Unknown, Monster. You could tell I'm a dad of a preschooler. I know all these songs. And then I put my phone down so she doesn't see it. She just hears it. So I said, I want you, act it out, dance it out. And her creativity goes through the roof. So it forces her to be able to come up with her own sort of scenes to hear songs based on, what she hears for the lyrics. It's incredible.
Did you, when you were growing up, ever listen to stories like on the radio at all? Like radio theater kinds of things? Or do you listen to Audible books?
No, well, I do. Yeah, I listen to Audible books and podcasts all the time in the car.
Novels, though, not business.
Oh, yeah. No, not business. No, not business. Well, I do hear that AI generated guy sometimes these days. I know, yeah, I think no. But yeah, I actually listen to probably a lot of stories. I just loved writing as a kid. Like I would love writing mystery stuff. I would write all kinds of stuff, even like horror. I know a lot of kids in middle school love horror. That's like the popular genre that we played at the festival. But I really just enjoyed the whole aspect of bringing characters to life. I think that with my book, Mya McLure, The Brave Science Girl, people are longing for like a superhero. Everybody wants a hero or a heroine in this case, and especially somebody they can relate to. And this person, and that's what makes it a little different. You got to find that niche in the market. Like there's Ada Twist scientist, Iggy Peck architect, Rosie Revere engineer. Well, there's Mya McLure, The Brave Science Girl. She's about all things science, technology, engineering, math, and the arts. And she's brave and she'll do whatever it takes to help her community. So that's that little niche I found in there.
I like it a lot. No, I ask that because I think for me, like that setting the stage thing, I like being able to imagine. Like I don't need someone to tell me what this character looked like. Just have them be themselves, right? And then you kind of can fill it in. So I loved what you did with your daughter by turning your phone over and saying, act it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
How creative is that? So you're going to have a summer break coming up here. Yes?
Yes.
A little one?
Very soon.
Are you really taking a break?
Probably not, but I guess on paper it looks like it. But I never take a break. I barely sleep. But
So what is your next project? You've got Mya going.
Yeah.
But you finished Butterfield. You've got the awards you just finished. What's next for you on your creativity in addition to your teaching?
I would like to expand Mya McLure. I really want to see, because everywhere I go and everywhere I talk and speak and do these performances for kids, like I'll play like different songs on the keyboard and I'll say, then I'll read the whole story. I'll say, how many of you would like to read another book or hear more about Mya? What's her next adventure? Yeah. Like everybody loves it. And I got a lot of good feedback on it. And I believe that if I can create a series, and I believe if I can keep expanding the word out there in whatever capacity that is, if it's through merchandising, if I could start like a little plush doll, expand maybe into like a science kit that could be like a one-stop shop. You got all these activities in there, maybe snippets of like visual content in there that's online where they can go on and they can watch little Mya McLure things and maybe get it as an animated TV show or YouTube series. I'm trying to think big and expansive because I really believe in this character. I mean, Every time my daughter says, I can't wait to go to Disney and see Mickey and Minnie and Donald Duck and Elsa and Mya McLure. Like, wait, what'd you say? Yeah, Mya McLure. I'm going to see Mya too. I'm like, Disney. So
there's your driver right there is your daughter.
Yeah,
like, she's thinking big. What are we talking about? Just a book, Dad? Come on. Let's get it down there to the park.
Exactly. I mean, I know there needs to be a focus, but I think the focus is on that line, and I want to see how far it goes, and I want to expand it because I know, once again, who would it serve? It would definitely serve young girls. It would empower them. We need more female leaders. We need females confident. The stats still show in 2024, there's like 30% of all STEM-related fields are occupied by females. 30%? It's gotten better, but
better is not where it needs to be, though. Better is a start.
Right.
It's not the end.
No. So I'm working with organizations, there's the NSTA, there's the National Science Foundation, there's right here locally in Connecticut Science Center, where they're looking to expand their curriculum and their programming. And they're looking to get some grant money. And I'm hoping that, I can be a part of that. And Mya initiative could really branch out because, first off, I can have my local hands on it, along with teaching. And I really love teaching, and it gives me sort of that credibility of being in the trenches, actively doing it, and then also on the side, helping kids in that manner. So that's where I'm looking to go.
Hey, those of us over here at Sarah Box Coaching and Consulting in the Sandbox, we are in your corner all the way. And when you're ready for the next Mya book, come back and maybe we can even do a standalone where you read some of it with your music for us.
I would love that. I would absolutely.
Really?
I can do another one. Yeah.
Okay, that'd be great. I think maybe we'll get Maria to do a Moments with Maria with you where it's only about Mya.
And I'll play a little song. I'll play
a little song.
Yep.
Okay, folks, you heard him say he would do it here We've got Maria's got some big family stuff coming up in the next month. So I promised her we're not adding anything else to her creativity, but expect to hear from her late June.
You got it.
Okay.
Always there for the Sarah Box team.
Oh, thanks. We're there for you too, because you're doing great work in the world. So I'm going to give you the last word on the podcast today, Doug.
Unity. I think if we all celebrate each other's successes, if we all embrace each other's quote unquote shortcomings, and if we all take a step back and just listen to one another, because there's so much out there to be discovered and we are stronger together.
You've been listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author, change agent, and strategic business coach, Sarah Box. You can grab the show notes and find out how to work with Sarah at sarahbox.com/no labels, no limits podcast. We'd love this podcast to reach as many people as possible. Please remember to rate, leave a 5-star review, and share the podcast with someone you think would get value from this conversation. Till next time, keep taking those daily action steps to align your purpose to your principles and achieve your goals in business and life.